Hello, welcome to my little office in my yard at Twyford Horsemanship Centre. This is a little video for Jenny. She's been very brave and sent us this video here, and I said I would do a video lesson in response and share it all with you guys. She's been very brave, letting me share it on the UK Horse Group. For anyone who doesn't know, this is what my video lessons are like if I'm not in the arena teaching. I sit in here, I can draw all over the screen, which is awesome, so I can point things out. You may notice me staring up, it's because I actually have a screen above you, and that's where I keep all of the, making sure that everything's recording correctly. But, here we are, have a nice cup of tea, and we're going to watch this video. Before we go any further, the first thing I just want to point out that I notice is the horse's posture. I would describe it as uncertain. Right, we've got this slightly tense upright neck, tail slightly tucked under. He's not an Arab, obviously, but I'm used to my Arabs, but you can see it's just a little tight. Not a scared eye though, right? Ooh, that looks. Try to look at that drawing. Not a really scared eye. He looks uncertain. So that's just something to note. I mean, we have a cocked leg. Which is a sign of relaxation, maybe a little tense. But before I even hit play, and I have watched this once before, but it was very quick just to get some other videos that I thought might be useful. But I just immediately noticed that and went, okay, that's interesting to note. So we're going to watch this, we're going to hopefully learn some things, and put things in the comments, how you found this video, I think any questions you have, anything like that. It's fantastic. So let's watch. Yeah, tail swish, interesting. Again, we note these things, they don't necessarily mean anything. But again, I describe this as uncertain. Not afraid. Again, the eye is very soft and he's not, but uncertain. I think it comes from your posture. So one thing I want you to understand right off the bat is that groundwork is all about body language and posture. Ridden work is all about balance, right? So when you're riding, if you sit to one side, your horse should follow your weight shifts based, on training and blah, 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 blah. In groundwork, it's all about your body language, and a lot of it is to do with where your belly button is pointing, right? So he either has to ignore you if you are standing tall and proud. He has to sort of block that out. So one thing I'd recommend while you're doing this friendly game, when you're just rubbing him, what I would recommend you do is slump a little bit and turn your belly button so that it's facing away from him. So if you swapped your stick and rope over into the other hand, you could stroke your horse with this hand reaching over this way and have the rope underneath your arm. That sounds odd. Hopefully in one of I've got two other videos lined up that are me playing with my horses, and hopefully in those, I didn't look through them very detailedly. I've put links in below so you can watch them thoroughly and maybe you can spot stuff I didn't. But it helps if your belly button is not pointing directly at the horse, and it also helps if you exaggerate the sort of relaxed, lazy attitude. Helps the horse to understand this doesn't mean anything, and that's what you're trying to get across, is that my stick now doesn't mean anything, and he's uncertain. He doesn't look afraid at the moment, he looks uncertain. So let's carry on. One thing that's really nice, that you're doing really well, is you're keeping that rope really loose. And that's a very important thing. My instructor would say, keep a smile in the rope at all times. Yeah? So that's really, really good. As I say that. Oh, we're doing backup. Good. Good. Very nice. So yeah, you can see here, and it's not a big deal, but your posture hasn't really changed, right? You stand with good posture, actually. I often have a go at people for the opposite. You're very straight shoulders, very straight. You stood very tall, which is really good. And you want to be proud when you work with a horse, especially when you want something. But I want there to be a distinct shift between those two states. So you're like, whatever, we're just hanging out, having a good time, and then now my ears have gone back and I want you to move. So that's one little thing that I would have you do right off the bat. Nice back up. Hey, the good boy. Bit distracted. Good. Good. The coming forward was good too. He's like, back up. I did back up. So again, he's unsure, right? He's not sure what you're after. Okay. Right. I'm really sorry. You are supposed to be using the phone. I'm really sorry. Let me just move that, because that ringing in the background is going to annoy me. Okay, so let's go back just a tiny little bit here. Have a look. So, yes, this is important. So, anything in front of this line here, so in front of that line, will encourage the horse to move backwards or move its front end over. Yeah? Anything behind that same line, let me draw that one more time. Anything behind the line will encourage the horse to move forward or move its back end over, back feet over. Yeah? So, something that's tricky with the forequarter yield is we think of the front feet moving over, right? And we think that we should push here, but that's behind the drive line, right? You need to be pushing him up here more, up on the nose, not above this halter line. Absolutely never, right? But if we watch, I believe, and it's hard to tell because of the camera angle, but that's video lessons for you. No, don't do that. I believe, yeah, your belly button is pointing behind the drive line here because you're asking him to come forward. Okay, good. But then when you go to send him, does your belly button... Oh, no, it does. Okay, good. But your stick is still pointing that way, so he's gotten confused. I would have your stick pushing the nose over here, right? It needs to be, if this is your horse here and this is you, your stick needs to be this way, right? Pushing that over. It should be sort of, if you imagine this is the shoulder, just here, you want this sort of angle from the shoulder. It's hard to describe. When you get the stick in the right place, you'll find what happens is your horse's neck bends over and they start to either go backwards or the front feet move over. If they're going backwards, you're close to the right thing. Because back up is similar. It's putting the weight onto the hind end, and some horses need to take a step back to get the weight back before they cross. So allow a little bit of back up when you're doing this exercise. It's going to be the more tricky exercise for this horse, you can sort of tell. That he's running forward, he's uncertain, then you've pulled the rope, and unfortunately that's, yeah, you're getting the idea, because now you see when you put your hand in front there, you're pushing the nose over, but the trouble is, because the rope is so short, he can't move away from you. The rope's too close. So you have to let that rope go and you have to use the stick to push the nose. Otherwise, he can't move away. So then he gets frustrated and starts trying to nip. It's tough though, and you can see now it's clearer. Your stick is behind that line, yeah? Unless you're asking something different, but I assume you're asking for the front feet turn. Your stick is a little bit too far back, but that's okay. It's good. We're not used to hitting horses on the nose, right? That's not a normal thing to do. And I think you'll find if you lift your stick and you position it here without hitting his nose, he's going to move away from it. He's not going to want you to get close. If you let that rope slide and you hold that stick out to the side, I think you'll find he wants to step away from it. But if he doesn't, you will tap him below his eye on the tip of his nose, and you may, after doing that, have to spend time stroking his nose to help him understand, you're not just trying to hit him. When you square yourself up and put your ears back and then lift your stick towards his nose, then he should move, but otherwise no. So you were correct to tap his shoulder when the nose was over, but because it was behind the drive line, he actually came forward. That's like, oh, he's so sweet there, look at that. That was a real did I do it? You're like, no. And he's like, oh, but I thought I did it. No, I did good. Oh, my face. I'm delicate. Bless him. Yeah, so your belly button actually is pointing in almost exactly the right place for this exercise. It's more that your stick is actually sending him forward, and then you're trying to stop him going forward with the rope. So, yeah. That's a good boy. Yeah, that's good. Just that rope just needs to be a little bit longer. It feels wrong, right? It feels like you're going to get yourself into trouble by pushing the horse away, but it doesn't happen. Yeah, nice. He's very, very sweet. Again, you took a nice breath there, but I'd like to see you like relax into it. It might be all the clothing's blocking it, but if I'm struggling to read your body language, he's going to struggle to read your body language, so you may need to exaggerate. Nice, sending him around in a circle, very nice. He's a good pony. Back end yield, very nice. Very nice. So the back end yield is not nearly so much of a trouble for him, hey? Again, I'd have a slightly longer rope. The reason I keep going on about the long rope, every time you pull on the rope, he should respond. And so if the rope's short all the time, he should be giving to that all the time. It's not the same as riding. In riding, we talk a lot about the contact and then holding at contact. This halter is not designed to be leant into. So every time you lift that buckle up, like here, you lifted it just a tiny, even just the tiniest fraction, he feels it on his nose. And if he has to ignore that, you're teaching him to ignore your aids. And over time, that's just going to cause you trouble. So be very, very aware. Every time you pull on that rope, for me, it's like I flip a sand timer over, right? Or you start a countdown, and if he hasn't responded by 4, he gets told off by being hit with a stick or something that he doesn't like to be like, listen. And that's any time you ask for something. So at the moment, there you ask for something, there you ask for something. Push, 2, 3, push, 2, 3, right? And then when he's done it, you need to go and relax and take a breath and rub him and say, good, that was good, I like that. And then you can ask for something else. Lift your energy up, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Yeah. It's tricky because it's a timing thing. Phase 1 is as light as possible, phase 4 is as firm as necessary. We talked a little bit about that. And he tries quite a bit, hey. He's really sweet how he looks at you like, well, was that it? Did I do it? So give him a lot more love as well. Fuss this pony, he's really cute. He's trying. He's definitely trying. He misunderstands, but he's trying. Tail's a lot nicer now. That's, yeah. I'm saying, and his neck's a lot nicer, he's lovely and soft here. He understands this better. Yeah, really good. Really good. Okay, so the biggest thing I think for you is swapping this, swapping from one thing to the other. I'm going to just bring another window in here. I'm going to bring this over. Boop. So this is me and Pudding working. And so I've posted the link to this video in the comments below. But the biggest thing for you is to swap between these two postures. And hopefully I can show this in this video here. Right. So there, hindquarter yield, and very clearly, excuse the bad hat, this hat is a special hat from Australia, which I got when I was 16, and it's got a running band for my 100k marathons on, and yeah, it's embarrassing, but it's sentimental value. So my belly button's pointing towards his back end. I swing the rope. He takes a step. I think. Yeah. And then I release. Every time he takes the right step, the rope should stop swinging. So he's taking the correct step, so it's all soft. This is where I'm going to notice my own mistakes. Swing behind, because when I'm behind him like that, this pressure creates that same line, right? I'm swinging this rope threatening here, and I'm blocking the nose from moving over. Right? Because these steps, the forequarter yield and hindquarter yields, are steps you will do over and over and over again. pushing in front of the nose to send that nose away. Oh, come on camera. Pushing in front of the nose again with this hand. I don't have a stick in this, but my posture's up and this hand is saying move that shoulder over, and he's getting very confused. This was the first time I'd ever really asked him for these steps. Push and give, push and give, and you can see that rope is very loose. So whenever he takes that step, the rope is loose. Push, give, good pony. And then a little correction to say don't go forward. So it's not that you were doing the wrong thing by saying don't go forward. I just give a little bit more rope to allow that step to correct it back to then. These things happen so quickly though. I totally understand that this is not an easy thing to do. It looks easy because it's simple, but often the simple things are the hardest things to explain to the horse, and now I've got the rope really short. But I'm much further ahead than you are. So I'm standing way in front of the shoulder and I'm using that rope to guide the nose just a little bit to get that slight bit of bend. And I'm talking through what I'm doing as well in this video, but I wanted to show it because I knew Pudding didn't do a perfect turn, so it's helpful. I'm also going really slowly, which is very, very important. Go really slow in the beginning. Take your time getting good steps. I didn't quite realise how bad the camera got on this, but push the nose, push the shoulder, push the nose, push the shoulder. See how the nose is bent, and then I push the shoulder. He's such a good pony. I love this pony. This is when I first started working with him as well. Back when he was very, very soft. Come on, Jamie, how many times are you going to do this? I'm waiting for a really, really good step, clearly. I've clearly had a few good steps and I'm hunting for a really good one. Because he's yielding, but I'm waiting for a really perfect step. Probably where the back feet don't move at all. And you see how he's kind of not stepping over properly. What I'm waiting for is for you to see my change in posture, which I'm hoping I do. I haven't watched this video to see if I changed posture really well or not, but I also had put on quite a bit of weight in this video. Things you notice when you watch yourself back. Don't go forward. Doopy doopy doo. Come on, Pud. He's starting to get a bit frustrated now. You can tell he's a bit like, what am I doing wrong? I don't get it. That was a nice step. I might not have noticed. I might have been on other things. The trouble is when you're doing these videos and you're talking, your brain sometimes doesn't. So that change, rub, move on. And yeah, I'm looking down, I'm leaning down. It's not as exaggerated as I'd hoped, but there's like a change, right? Everything's loosened off. I don't think any of the rest of this is relevant. This might be relevant. This bit here. Because there's one other thing I wanted to show. This should be hindquarter yield. Yes, this is hindquarter yield. Okay, good. So when I'm doing a hindquarter yield, I tend to tilt my head to one side to push the back end over. So I'm sort of looking around a corner a bit more. What I'm doing with him is actually more complicated than that. I'm also asking him to push his shoulder over, which is why I'm tapping his leg. This is a slightly more advanced exercise, but I wanted to show the differences in posture. So this doesn't show it as well as I'd hoped, basically, and then we're riding. Okay, well, that's enough of this video. That's more or less what I wanted to show from this one. Okay, this is Lollipop. Another one of my horses who I started on a live stream. He's very prancy and very fabulous. But what I wanted to show here, again, my energy's different. I'm upright because he's up, so you'll notice that right away. You have to kind of match the energy you're getting, right? So he's bouncy, so I'm bouncy, or trying to be. Somewhere in here, you see very loose rope, very much allowing him to be further away. believe it's any second here. I change direction with him. I ask him to swap to the other rein. Trying to relax and rub. Right, and I want him to come down with me. You can see he's still quite energetic. But this is an example of going from energy up to relaxed energy, right? Where I brought myself down and I asked him to follow me down, right? And he's responded really nicely, and then energy up. But I'm trying not to bring it up too much, but he's like, whoa, he's really fiery, which I love. Now here, you notice my stick is creating a wall across here to say, turn your shoulder around. It's not a stick, it's a flag, so that's probably why he's so snorty. But push that nose, throw it back up. The point is, it's very far ahead of this line, right? So it creates that back up or forward yield. And I'm very much saying back up. Interestingly, what I'm doing here it's not helpful for your lesson exactly, but I need to explain what I'm doing. So I have set a very slow, very calm pace with my body. So I'm like steady, calm, slow, but I'm making a lot of noise with my stick, right? The stick is noise, my body is calm, and what I'm asking Lollipop to do is to match me, not the flag. So again, it's a more advanced exercise, but the flag is flap, 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 and I'm there stepping very, very slowly, and I want him to ignore the noise of the flag and just move very slowly back, which is hard, right? And relax. That was a really good example of me bringing my energy down, right? So we'll just watch that one more time, because that's what I want you to do. That there. So flap, flap, flap. I'm all upright, and doopy-doopy-doo, and right? So my leg cocked, my body turned away, the rope sackened, and then I step up and rub it, say good boy. Everything changes, I'm all loose, my legs are flapping all over. Then look around the corner, right? So there's very much a change in my posture, right? I've gone like this, and I'm looking around his shoulder at his back end, right? Forget that I have to do that first. Push. Again, big flap, big noise, not to do with your horse, but we might do this with your horse later. Lollipop already knows what's expected, but he tends to overreact to things. So he's going, oh, I've got to run, I've got to get fast. And it's like, no, look how slowly I'm moving. You'll make this stop by moving slowly. And relax, good boy. And rub. Pass the other way, push. And you see now he's waiting for that loud noise, so I've swapped to being quiet again, because I don't want him to only move when I'm loud. Push and relax. Guiding that rope, say nose, then push the shoulder, nose, shoulder. Yeah. Is there a friendly game with that flag? And this is all very interesting, and I'm sure I'm doing a very good job explaining it. But let's get on to the actual bit for your video. A little bit of a back up, snort. Now hopefully this will be a friendly game. Yeah, good. So first of all, lift the stick, he connects to it, and I take it away, right? Let him look at it. And then I get annoyed at the wind, because that always happens with flags. Bloody typical things. You're doing fine, and then it's flat, wind blows and the horse spooks. Good. As he steps towards it, I move it away, drawing him towards it. This is known as approach and retreat. Friendly game. It's a good pony. Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope these videos showed what I hope they showed, which is that difference between those two postures, because that's super important for you, right? And this idea of pushing behind that line and in front of that line, right? So maybe I can get another little bit where Lollipop stood. Oh, we're saddling there. Okay, we don't want to talk about saddling. that is a whole separate beast. This is a form of friendly game that I'm doing with him here. I'm just relaxed, flapping my stick around. Okay, that idea that anything in front of here, too far back, anything in front of here will encourage him to go backwards or move his nose over. Anything behind that line will encourage him to move forwards or move his back end over. It's further forward than you'd think, and it is on this diagonal line, right? It's not straight with the leg. It's interesting because it really is exactly that. If you push here, your horse will move forward. And interestingly, like this, the halter is in front of the drive line. And so most foals, when you pull on this rope for the first time, feel this pressure and they go that way, or more often that way, directly against what you want them to do. Horses learn to feel this pressure and understand that means that way, which is why when we're leading, it's good to stand here and use a stick to say move forward instead of just the lead rope, right? That's why it's good to stand there. Other than that, all looks really, really good. Like I said, you did much better than you thought, because your horse actually, first of all, your horse actually moved, and second of all, your horse isn't afraid. He's unsure, he's unclear, and it's because you're uncertain yourself, right? And that's not a bad thing, right? But I want you to really exaggerate for him your posture. So when you were doing this rubbing at the beginning, and when he's doing the right thing, or when he's doing something, or when you're doing something that you don't want him to respond to, like just leading him somewhere or whatever, really like have this attitude. And when you want something, I want you to exaggerate and get really strong and really like, don't you make me hit you. We're not actually thinking that way because we love our horses, but I want him to really get that there's a difference between when you want something versus when you don't want something, because I think that's unclear in his mind. He's sort of trying to guess, and so you have to over-exaggerate what you're asking. Later on, when he recognises your body language more, you'll find that you can just sigh and he'll relax into it. But for now, I want you to really exaggerate that, like, yeah, really like chill that out. So same exercises again with this in mind for now. I'd also like you to try and create more distance so you're able to send him away from you further. But I think you'll find that happens naturally from having the rope more loose. And I really look forward to seeing where we go next, basically. Next time I'll try to have some other videos. I do have so many videos on my YouTube channel, but they are very difficult to comb through, I do get that. And I do have some videos of some difficult horses that might have a similar problem to him. They're more extreme, and I might be able to get permission from the owners to share those videos with you. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been fun, and yeah, I will see you in the next video.